running back coming in.
I'll take if you want to put this headset on.
Absolutely.
You care to introduce yourself for the people that don't know and aren't aware?
Yeah, Rene Ingoglia played here 92 to 95. I played a dinosaur. It's a long time ago, but fortunate enough, had a good career. They put me in the Hall of Fame, so I got that going for me.
So we've seen a lot of running back play. We were just talking about Justin Williams-Thomas reeled in a nice flat route. What do you see in this running back room? Anything that reminds you of yourself or your old teammates? What do you see in this
So
room?
I actually talked to all the running backs last night at the festivity. Good bunch, good group. I like they all have really good vision, but a different skill set. Right? You got some bigger guys that'll run between the tackles, but also bounce with some speed. You got some quickness in there, so it's going to be a really good bunch. And I will say this: I do think with Coach Warner, I do think the offense really, as good as Pop is going to be, and I think Pop's going to be exceptional. I think it's going to be a run-first offense. I think they're going to lean behind this offensive line, and we're going to have some 100-yard rushers next year for sure. And I think they'll rotate them through. But you guys were talking about Justin Williams-Thomas. I think he's been the most impressive back this spring from what I've heard and what I saw in this first half of the spring game. He's a bigger back, 6 foot, 210, but he's got good speed as well. So I'm really excited to see what he does next year, but really all the backs.
He's transferring from Marshall, for those who don't know. Sat behind another running back there at Marshall, so this is his chance to really carve out a lot more touches and prove himself as an effective back in the MAC. Offensive line you touched on. How do you like their physicality? How do you like the guys they brought in?
It's hard today, right, because they're not going full contact. But from what I heard, and I'll be totally transparent, like coming into this season, that was my worry, right? Because I'm an old school football player, and I don't care what kind of offense you run, what kind of defense you run. You build your teams from the inside out. I sound like a broken record. I always say it, but you build from the offensive line and defensive line. Now, I knew from what they brought in that the defensive line was going to be revamped, and I know Coach Harris-Simiak was really excited. I was nervous about offensive line, but everybody I've talked to said, no, the offensive line actually is going to be a strength. They have great size. They're going to lean on them. They think they're going to be able to move the line of scrimmage. So when I heard that, it was music to my ears with the running backs they've added. I'm excited to see the offensive line.
Every time we've talked to every aspect of the coaching staff, Harris-Simiak is just blasting toughness, physicality, just that go-get-it mentality, and that's exactly what he's trying to accomplish, this culture with all these guys that he's brought in. He's brought in a lot of size. Aitor is a huge kid. I don't know if you've had a chance to see him up close and personal. He is a monster. But a guy that's on the smaller side that still plays with that I love football and that gritty mentality, Pop Watson, only standing at 5'10", he is a tough kid. What have you seen out of him that you like?
Well, I love his arm strength. He can really make all the throws. He's athletic. He can run the ball, but he's not a run-first quarterback. But if something breaks down, he'll make a play with his feet. He scored a touchdown early in this spring game. But because he's athletic, he's going to extend plays to look to throw it first. And with the receivers he has, he's inevitably going to make big plays by extending it with his feet. So I'm excited. Now, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Pop, and I think he knows that, right? I've seen this NIL era. He's obviously probably the highest paid player on this staff, on the roster. Comes from Virginia Tech. He's a legend in Springfield. So this team's going to go as Pop goes. So and I think he knows that. So I'm excited to see what he does as well. And really just the revamped roster. You talked about the toughness. I think anyone that followed this team last year knows it lacked toughness all around, right? I mean, there's individual guys out there, right? But I mean, as a whole, that team toughness, winning the line of scrimmage, that mentality, it lacked last year. You talked about it. Coach Harris-Simiak has preached it this year, and I think it's going to show early on this season.
We talked to Max Warner at a press conference a few weeks back, and we asked him, we were like, how was the team morale? How was the locker room coming off of an 0-12 season? And he's like, what team? Because this roster is entirely rebuilt. There's only a handful of returner starters. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team is motivated, even if they weren't a part of it. They have something to prove. They've got a chip on their shoulder.
That's whether you love the transfer portal or hate it, right? It's mixed. That's the great thing, though, that literally if you're a fan of a team, your team can do a 180 year to year. It just can. And it can go 180 the wrong way as well. We only have one way to go. So we got that going for us. But yeah, they revamped this roster. And guys like Pop and Joe that come in, you feel like you have that mentality where you say, okay, I'm going to be the one that turns this program around. I'm going to be the one that gets them to their first bowl game, right? So I think a lot of those players, to your point, they don't think of like I'm going to an 0-12 program. They think, all right, this is a new program, it's a new year, new expectations, and we're going to turn this program around. We're going to compete in the MAC, and we're going to go to a bowl game. And there's no reason why this team can't do that this year, right? There's just none. So, but we'll see. You still have to go out and do it.
They've certainly got the talent. It's all just a matter of gelling under a new offense, under a relatively new head coach. They've got a lot to kind of work out, a lot of kinks to work through, but they've got the guys to do it. Thank you so much